Sheryl Tipton. I've run Tipton Marketing for the best part of 14 years and have been in marketing forever since before then. We're going to talk about marketing plans, marketing strategies, how to build a marketing plan, how to simply build a marketing plan, because you could employ a consultant and they would charge you hundreds and hundreds of pounds to write your marketing plan for you, and I do that regularly, which is lovely. But you can also write your own marketing plan very easily and very simply with a little bit of guidance. So before we start, I have one apology to make. I'm getting over a cold, so if I sneeze and cough and things like that, please excuse me. Anybody in the room like to start by telling me anything about their marketing that they want to talk about tonight? Any problems, anything at all? Because I'm not going to stand here and talk at you for half an hour. I want some interaction, please. Any problems, anything anybody comes across ever with their marketing?
Where do you start?
Where do you start? In terms of generally how, yeah.
Well, that would be a good thing. You know,
Okay.
just launching a new idea, a new business.
Okay.
You've got a blank piece of paper, you've got some
Okay.
ideas in your head.
Okay.
You know, what's the first
First thing you do.
thing you do?
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is marketing? Let's start with that. Oh, you're very quiet. Oh, you're terribly quiet. What is marketing? Anybody? What do you marketing? What is it?
Advertising, isn't it?
Yes, kind of.
Getting your brand out there, getting your name out there.
Selling as well.
Promoting to a targeted audience.
Oh.
4 P's, isn't it? Product, place.
Oh, we'll come on to
promotion.
that. We'll come on to that, and there's 7. I'm going to be testing you, see if you can remember. It's about identifying needs and making sure that your product meets your target audience's needs. It's not Twitter. It's not advertising. It's not even PR. It's not really selling. It's about identifying your target audience, true marketing, identifying your target audience and making sure that your product or your service meets their needs. Because if it doesn't, you're not going to succeed. If you've got something that nobody's going to buy, you're not going to succeed. Doesn't matter how good your product is. So marketing, first of all, identify those needs from your target audience. So let's talk about a marketing plan. Now, I'm not one for screens. I'm a flip chart girl, I'm afraid. So we're going to work with this. There's 3 stages in a marketing plan. Your first stage is your audit. And we're going to talk a lot about this, and it's a very, very, very boring stage, believe you me. Everybody wants to skip it. Everybody wants to get down to the tools and the Twitter and social media and the exciting and the PR and everything else. But to be honest with you, if you do that without doing this, forget it. You've got to do your audit. The next part is your goals. What you're going to do, how you're going to get there, when you're going to get there, what you're going to spend, etc., etc., etc. And last is your strategy. So that is the exciting bit. That is your PR, your selling, your Twitter, everything like that. It's how you're going to get your product out there, how you're going to get your service out there. So you audit your goals and your strategy. 3 points that you have to go through on your marketing plan. Okay? So, start with our P's. Can you remember them? There's 7 P's of marketing, and we use them to really define our company. And at this stage in your audit, you really need to just look at your company and say, okay, where am I with things? Before you even go any further, before you start to, work anything else out, think about your 7 P's of marketing. I've got some handouts that I can email people if you want them. Anybody want to hazard a guess at what the 7 P's are?
Product.
Yeah, product.
Don't know. Promotion.
Yes?
Help me out, guys. You
I
know?
was going to say, this chap here is wonderful. I'm going to be paying him afterwards. I should be paying him. I should be paying him. Price, brilliant, yep. People?
Patience.
Plan?
No,
Not a plan.
not a plan.
Positioning?
Ooh, place. Physical evidence. Nobody's going to get that in a month of Sundays, so I'll add that up there. We've got one more.
party.
You're just on a beer, aren't you?
Should be good.
Panic. Process. So there are 7 Ps. There used to be 4 Ps, but nowadays there's 7 Ps. There's also 4 Cs, and people will talk about 4 Ps, 7 Ps, 4 Cs. It's all the same sort of thing. It's a process for finding out where you are now in your marketing. So product, product's fairly easy. What is your product? Where is it? Is it in the right marketplace? What are you selling? How are you selling? Etc., etc. Very, very easy. Promotion. What are you doing at the moment? Are you using social media? Are you out there selling door to door? What are you doing to promote yourself? Are you doing nothing? You're sitting at your desk and hoping somebody's going to come along and find you? Ooh, that's bright. So promotion. What are you currently doing? And remember, this is very much in the where we are now. This isn't where we want to go. This is where we are now. Okay? Thank you. Price. Where are you based in your price? Are you cheap? Are you expensive? Do you think you're cheap? Do you think you're expensive? Where are you positioning yourself in terms of price? And always remember with your price, it's not really about the price, it's about the value that people put to that price. Okay? Because we all buy dependent on value rather than actual price. If we think we're going to get something, you know, if we think we're going to get a good service, a good product, it's our value, and there's a lot more to it than just price. People. Anybody has to guess what I mean by people?
What kind of people?
Exactly. All kinds of people. Anybody in your organisation. Anybody that talks about your organisation. Anybody that works with you. Subcontractors, freelancers. Anybody at all that's out there talking about your company are people. And if they're not singing the same song that you're singing, then there's going to be a problem. So think about the people that you're talking to, that you're interacting with, and that you're working with. Place. Where do people buy your product? And that's very linked with process. Process really, how do they buy your product? So these two get overlooked. Because you could have the best product in the world, but if nobody can find it or nobody can buy it, you know, I was on the internet earlier trying to, we're booking a holiday and I was trying to find a particular villa. I couldn't find it. Couldn't find it. Oh, all sorts of internet searches. You can't find something, you're never going to buy it. You're going to get bored before you even get there. So really think about your processes and your place and how people can actually purchase from you. Because we've all been there. You know, if it takes us a while to actually be able to purchase something, you lose interest and you go off and you purchase it somewhere else. Physical evidence is the newest one that they've added to the 7 Ps. I'm sure there'll be more at some point. Anybody want to hazard a guess on physical evidence? Sounds like something out of Crime Watch, isn't it?
Research, is it?
Not really.
So people recommending your,
Yeah.
like, what do they call it?
It's like a recommendation, a referral, a case study. Endorsements, yeah. Yeah. Your physical evidence is something that you use to show the world that you're actually quite good at what you do.
Social proof.
Yeah, oh, I can do this, yeah, you know, I can do this. So that's our 7 Ps of marketing. And it's quite interesting. I would say take your time over them. I ran a marketing course last year, 10 weeks, and we spent a couple of weeks just doing our 7 Ps. So really think about where you are now. Because if you don't think about where you are now, you're not going to be able to change for the future. So have a think about 7 Ps, okay?
Am I right in thinking there's no priorities?
No. It depends which... Sorry. It depends which way I remember them as to how they come out.
Right.
No, there's no priority. But you've got to look at them all. You can't just do, you know, some without others because they're all equally important.
What's place again?
Place is where your product is. So is it in a shop window? Is it in the internet? Is it... How do people find you?
Oh, I see.
Okay? And process is that process that they get to find you, their buying process. So the two are quite linked. So when you've done your 7 Ps of marketing, you've sat back and you thought, well, that's okay, I'm all right with that. What do you think we might do next? We're still on our audit stage, we're going to be here for quite a while. We do some research. We do some research. We actually get out from behind our desks and we poke our nose out into the real world and we see what's going on. There's 2 types of research, interestingly, non-reactive and reactive. One is that we sit at our desks and we have a look at the internet and we see what people are doing and we look at brochures and we look at our competitors. And the other side of it is that we get out there and we talk to people. We put together focus groups. I do this a lot for clients. You put together a focus group of your target audience and you actually ask people what they want, what they think of your product, you know, where they think they would buy it. Would they buy it? Do they like it? Is it the right price? There's nothing as good as talking to people, because you might be sitting behind your desk thinking, this is great, I've got the most fantastic widget and I'm going to sell it at £7 and it's going to come in red, blue and yellow. But if your target audience aren't going to pay £7 for it and they don't want it in red, blue and yellow, it's never going to sell. So do some research, and I don't just mean sit behind your desk on your computer. Get out there and talk to people. Do some proper research. Talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to whoever you can, but do some research. Okay? We then move on to our competitors. Nasty things. You can look at competitors in two ways. You can look at them as the best thing in the world, like I do, or you can look at them as, oh my goodness, everybody's out to get me. They're doing this, they're doing better than me, they're doing this different from me. But try and turn its head. Try and think about your competitors in a more positive way. Has anybody here, or has everybody here, looked? Do you all know who your competitors are? Can you all name your top 3 competitors?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah? Anybody can't, you're not going to admit it now. Know who your competitors are. Know what they do. Know what they sell. Know their process. Know what they're putting out there. Know everything there is to know about them. Because if you don't know about your competitors, your target audience will. They'll be looking at your competitors. They'll know, and I'm going to pick on you because I know you, they'll know who else designs websites in Worthing. They'll know what other people charge. And if you don't know, how can you ever begin to be in the same marketplace? So make sure you know your competitors. And going on from that, what do competitors do for us? I know what they do for me. They make me mad, they make me angry, they make me want to go, "Urgh, I want to be better than you." What do they do for us? How can we...
Ideas.
Yeah, they give us ideas.
You can see what they're doing wrong and what they're doing right. Possibly.
Yep. Let's put rights and wrongs.
I read an article where a chap who set up a very successful web agency, and his theory was always surround yourself with people more intelligent than yourself.
Oh, I like that one.
Or
Yeah.
cleverer, do things that you can't do.
Yeah, yeah.
I better go, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, maybe I should go as well. What else do they make us do, our competitors?
Does it make you focus on what you can, what your strengths are?
Yeah, yeah, it does. It makes you focus. And they also help you focus on your weaknesses, which isn't so good. But we'll come to that in a minute. I also tend to think competitors make us reactive to change. And change is a really good thing in the business world. We have to react to change. We have to be prepared to respond to it. And if you just go along doing what you do all the time and don't look at the outside world, you know, lots of companies I meet are very blinkered. If you don't look at what other people are doing, you're never going to change. And sometimes change is what you have to do, especially when you're talking about your marketing plan. Because I can guarantee you, by the time you do your 7 P's to start with, and by the time you do them at the end, they're going to be totally different. And if you don't want to change, then you're wasting your time. So I think competitors make us reactive to change. We're responsive to change.
Just to add to that, I read an article recently. I think it was one of the Amazon people who talked about failing fast.
Yes.
So this idea, if you're prepared to fail,
Yes.
that's fine.
Yes.
We just do it quickly.
Yes.
Don't hang about hanging on to your idea or whatever.
Yeah.
If it's not working, just change it.
Just change it. Yeah, change it. It's not a bad thing. Move on. You know, change is really good, and I think it's something that we're all very afraid of. And change in marketing is something that happens rapidly. You know, you're going to write your marketing plan. You might write it this weekend. I can promise you by the following weekend it will have changed. You've got to think that it's a working document. It's something that you've just got to integrate into everything you do. It's not going to be there. It's not going to set in stone. You've got to work with it all the time. So you've got to be responsive to change. Anything else that our competitors do?
They provide us with something. If you get to know your competitors, your companies or whatever, you can see who's brilliant, and then you can potentially poach them.
Yes, yes.
You can pick out. You can just pick out one or two people in the future that you might want to take.
As in staff, as in poaching.
Staff.
Yeah, we can poach from them.
And customers.
We can poach and steal. I'm not sure I want that on there. I'm encouraging you to poach and steal from people. I think we have to watch them very carefully, because while we're watching them, they're watching us. And they can come into our marketplace and they can take our customers quite easily. You know, so we have to be very, very aware of what they're doing. I think we can also, you can also make your competitors your friends. Quite hard to do. But sometimes you can work with people on projects. I'm working on a project at the moment. Dave knows very well that I'm having to actually work with my competitors, which is very odd. But we're getting quite a long way from doing that. And sometimes, to know who your competitors are, what they're doing, what their strengths are, you can marry together. And sometimes it works.
They'll never be your friends, though. You'll be friendly with them, won't you?
I'll be friendlier with them than I am my family. Isn't there an old saying? Keep your enemies close and...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one, though, about competitors, because I went to there's a seminar thing like this, big company was running. The last people I expected to see there were this company's main competitors.
Oh, yeah.
But they were invited, and it was a real kind of, it was a sort of coup d'etat kind of thing for that company to be the ones who were doing the inviting of the other companies, because it automatically put them at the top of the hierarchy.
Yes.
So I thought that was quite
quite a clever move.
Not to be afraid of them and just ignore them, but actually bring them into the fold almost.
Absolutely.
Quite a risky thing to do, because of course people chat and network and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
But because they were so sure of their position in the marketplace, it was something
they had nothing to fear. Yeah, they had nothing to fear. And I really like that point, because if you've got a good marketing plan in place and if you know your strength, there is nothing to fear from your competition. They may do the same thing as you, but if you know your strengths and you've got this and you've got that, and as we'll talk about it more as we go through, there is nothing to fear. Everybody's good at something, and yes, your competitors might be better than you at that, but, know your strengths, know your weaknesses, and don't be afraid of them. You're always going to have competition. You're never going to be in a position where you're not going to have competition, so get used to it and get out there and come out fighting, basically.
It's the same thing here. We have maybe groups of 3 or 4 people throughout 5 different groups of people who all do the same thing, and people ask, but surely you're in competition with each other. It's quite an obvious question, but there's so much you can learn from just working next to your
there are
contemporaries rather than competitors.
I like the word contemporaries. I think there are things you can learn, definitely, and people do buy people, so your competitor might be very good at what they do, but if they're not a nice person, they don't click with that client, they're never going to get the business.
Helps you focus what you're selling.
It does. It does help you focus. I think, I'm just looking down my list here. Yeah, competitors might have a better pricing strategy. They might offer more value. They might enter our market, seduce our clients. They might introduce new substitute products that keeps us on our toes. We must be aware of our competitors. We've got to be aware of what they do. But I think another thing is respect your competitors, respect that they're going to have clients, and maybe if you can, and it's probably easier in a networking situation, talk to those clients. Why do they work with that particular company? Don't try and poach, but work out, well, what is it about that person that company likes? Because it could be something that you could emulate, it could be something that you could use in the future. Okay?
Just one other thing about competitors and good relationships between competitors is it sometimes gives you an opportunity for expansion.
Absolutely.
So when you've got an opportunity to take on a job that's too big for yourself, knowing some other people who are doing similar skills, like you're saying, with
that happens all the time.
It brings that you can share the workload and take on bigger jobs that you'd otherwise be able to do. So.
And I would hope that there's always going to be enough work to go around. There's always going to be competition, so it's just something we've got to learn to live with and use it to our advantage rather than shy away from it, be frightened of it and think, oh gosh, another competitor out there, So, competitors. We quite like them, really. Has everybody heard of a SWOT analysis? Lots of nodding heads. Yay! Anybody not?
I don't know what they all mean.
Okay.
I don't know what the last two letters mean.
Okay. I can see why I don't use a screen. Strengths. Weaknesses. Opportunities. And threats. And again, very, very simple document, but something that you really need to sit down and focus on and think about. These two are internal. So these are about you and your business. Very internal strengths and weaknesses, and quite easy to define. You know, my strength is that I'm quite happy to go out and talk to people. My weakness is that I work on my own, so sometimes I get overwhelmed with work. You know, it's really easy to put down. My strength is I've got great business cards. My weakness is my website stinks. You know, it's really not hard. Your opportunities, your threats are external, and they're a little bit more difficult to tie down. Does anybody like to hazard a guess or tell me about their opportunities within their company? Something. Go on.
Your job you pitch for is too big for you to handle.
Yeah, it would be a threat. Yeah, it would be a threat to your company
You
rather
wouldn't
than
be able to deliver.
so it would be a threat rather than opportunity. Yeah. So let's start. Too big a job. That doesn't sound right, does it? But you know what I mean. Anybody else? Well, any of these, give me some examples of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats in your business, just so we get a flow for what we're trying to do.
Knowledge is going to be a strength.
Knowledge, definitely. And lack of knowledge is a weakness.
Experience? Is that different to knowledge?
Don't know. What do we think? I tend to think it is different. What do you think?
Well,
Different.
knowledge is very matter of fact. You can go and find that out in a research
You
document,
can.
whereas experience is practical application of that knowledge.
Yeah. Again. Comes up here. An opportunity might be something like being able to work with your local Chamber of Commerce. Something I do, partnerships. That's an opportunity because it's an external thing. You have to actually go out of your door to go and get it. So, external working relationships. And a threat could be something like, if you're a retailer, somebody else opened up a shop 3 doors down from you. So that would be a threat to your business, or a sudden change in the economic climate. So, you know, whatever, the pound goes through the roof or whatever they like to say. But those sort of things, economic climate, tend to come under here.
Someone undercutting you
Yeah.
for any cheap service.
Yeah. What about your staff? Where would your staff go?
Strength.
Or weaknesses.
Thank you, team. It's really difficult because they can go into strengths. I was working with a charity not so long ago, and their staff were a weakness because they didn't have enough information, they didn't answer the phone properly, they didn't do this, they didn't do that. So, you know, depends what way you want to go with your staff. You've also got an opportunity in your staff, obviously, to help them grow, to move forward, and you've got a threat that if they get too good, they may well be poached. So, it's life as a small business owner, isn't it? So, yeah, your staff can go in a variety of places.
Smack in the middle.
Yeah, we could put them in the middle, actually. We could put them there, couldn't we? Just to... Can't really see them, but yeah.
Your research might identify opportunities.
Absolutely.
You can sometimes
Yeah.
be surprised, can't you?
Yeah.
You think you know what's going on.
Yeah.
But, oh, actually.
Yeah. This is all, I mean, this whole audit stage is really, it's a whole research stage, and that's why it often gets overlooked. You know, I meet so many people who say, I want to do Twitter, I want to do PR, I want to do advertising. You think, yeah, great, lovely, can I see your marketing audit? And they look at me and they say, what are you talking about? Well, why do you want to do Twitter? Why do you want to do advertising? Why do you want to do PR? What's your target audience, and why are we heading in that direction? Oh, I don't know. So at this stage, yes, it's boring. Yes, there's a lot of research. Yes, you're answering a lot of the same questions, but it's so important because you're starting to define where your business is and looking at those opportunities and looking at those threats and really starting to work out how you can grow and what could affect your growth, what could damage your growth. So, yeah, absolutely. Things will start to come out. Any more?
Investment, would that come into it? Is that more like part?
Could be an opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah, investment.
Availability of grants and things like that. Sometimes there are initiatives, aren't there?
Oh, we're going to talk about one of those later.
Yeah.
I suppose investment expansion, isn't it?
Expansion, it can also be a threat because if you expand, how are you going to cope with that? Have you got the staff to expand? So again, that could straddle two opportunities and threats. Don't forget things like your website. Is that a strength? Is it a weakness? All that sort of thing. Your brochures, your marketing literature. Think about all of that sort of thing as well. So anything that affects your business. Do you work flexible hours? Is that a strength? Is it a weakness? Is it an opportunity? Is it a threat? If you're working flexible hours, is somebody else going to be there when you're not? It's very personal to your business. Do have a think about it because when you've got these, believe you me, on those days when you feel about that big and the world's really giving you a good old kicking, and we all have them, and I defy anybody to say that they don't, it's really nice sometimes to go back and look at your strengths and think, actually, I am really good at that, and I do have opportunities, and that's what's going to grow my business. Because we all tend to dwell over here a little bit sometimes, but concentrate on your strengths and think about your strengths. Okay? Still on that audit stage. So why don't people buy from us?
They don't know you're there.
Hmm?
They don't know you're there.
You remember from last time, didn't you?
Cheating
You got
going
the
there.
sheet. There is a lot of cheating going on here. Yeah,
Oh, that really is.
I know. Makes me feel very boring that I'm telling you the same thing every time I see you.
Credibility sometimes.
Less heckling, please, Sheila. Less heckling, please. Mushroom. Sorry, let's start again. What was the first thing you said?
They don't know
They
you're
don't know you're there.
They don't know you're there.
Yeah.
Yeah, huge.
They haven't met you face to face. It's all on email. It's all on group.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
don't have built
They haven't built a rapport with
No
you.
relationship.
Yeah.
no face to face relationship.
Credibility.
Yeah, I think that goes under
Right.
rapport, relationship, credibility, business credibility. It could be separate. Gosh, my writing gets worse, I'm sorry. Maybe it's time to invest in a screen. Maybe you have to pull me through to the 21st century.
Price is the other one.
Huh?
Flip charts are good.
Yeah.
I like flip charts.
Price.
Price.
Price because they don't attribute value to it. Okay? Going back to my holiday, I had a budget. I've just spent more than I anticipated because I saw something I really liked and I could attribute value to it. And so suddenly you spend more. So price is a very tricky one. Don't get too hung up on price. Just make sure you're adding value. What was it you said after that?
I can't remember now.
Track record?
What did I say?
Track record? Reasons that people
but I was
don't
looking at-
buy.
Well, we've been in business for 20 years. We've been, established 1943 or whatever.
Mhm.
Is that?
Is that a reason somebody wouldn't buy from you?
Yeah, potentially.
Because they...
We started that business last month.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, well, these guys have been in business 2 years.
Okay, so the length of time you've been in business, basically.
Right.
But again, that comes back to your physical evidence. If you've only been in business a month, but you've got case studies and testimonials and things to prove your worth, and not just your business of a month, but perhaps your personal worth. It's like anybody when you start a business, you've got to prove your worth from your past experience. So if people can draw on skills from other jobs or other responsibilities, that then starts to build about your company, and suddenly the fact that you've only been in business a month doesn't matter quite so much, because actually you've got the credibility.
Right.
So they're buying you rather
Right.
than the fact that that business has only been there for a month.
Could you put that under the label of provenance?
Could do.
They don't understand what you do, what
Yeah.
your product does.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard for them to weigh.
That's tied into labelling as well, isn't it? You
Yeah.
can call your product something which doesn't
I
mean
think-
anything to people.
Because I think as human beings, we tend to be a bit dense sometimes, don't we? And if it doesn't immediately do what we want it to do, then we kind of just, let's just push it to one side.
It doesn't look nice as well.
It doesn't look nice, or it doesn't do what I want it to do. I don't understand it, and I'm not going to make myself look silly by, asking for help. So yeah, lack of understanding. Doesn't do what I want it to do.
It's hard to contact
Difficulty.
you.
Yeah, difficulty, hard to contact. Same thing. It's the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
They found where you are, but they just can't get hold of you.
Which comes back
Or they
again
can't
to our.
Find the buy button.
Oh, I love it when they come back to our 7Ps. Yeah? Comes back. Sorry? Yeah. They can't buy from you because they don't know how to.
Because it's not fashionable, cool,
No.
the latest.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not on trend. It's not. Yeah.
Which is much more applicable now, I think.
I think that also depends on your target market, doesn't it? And I think that depends probably whether you're selling to young people, older people. Some people wouldn't mind whether it's, I don't particularly care whether something's on trend, because I'm probably never on trend anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But other people might, and that depends very much where your target audience is. I think the biggest one is that your product doesn't meet their needs. That's why somebody doesn't buy from you, because it doesn't do what they want it to do. And there could be all these little conversations going on, but if your product doesn't do what they want it to do, again, they're not going to buy it. So it could be the right price, and it could be in the right place, and it could be the right process, and it could be everything else, but if it doesn't meet their needs, we're back to that initial statement of identifying needs and making sure that your product and service meets the needs of your target audience. We keep coming back to that.
Easy to forget. You can get caught up in all
It
that.
is. You can get, you can get very caught up also in having, this is what I'm going to do, this is brilliant, I've had this fantastic idea, I'm going to do this, I'm going to launch this, I'm going to be fantastic at this, and you go along like that and think, well, why is nobody buying from me? Because you're not meeting anybody's needs. You've not researched your market, you don't know whether people want that, at what price, at what place, at what process, blah, blah, blah. So it's really a way of keeping yourself on track as well, marketing. And on the last bit is this, and every time I write it, I say the same thing. It looks like a dirty disease. It's not. STP. Segmentation, targeting and positioning. That's a blank stares then. That was a complete sea of blank faces. Read that, sorry. Sorry, I'm conscious of time as well. I've been talking for quite a while. Segmentation. You need to split down your target audience. Okay, so for example, David, Worthing co-working, your target audience is freelancers?
Yep.
Yeah. Are they freelancers of a certain age? Are they freelancers of a certain criteria? Are they male? Are they female? Start to think about your target audience, who they are, what they are, Why are you shaking your head?
Because my target audience is 18 to 75.
But it's still people who are looking at borrowing money.
Yeah.
So it still splits them down into a segment. They've got to have an available income, or they've got to have a property already, or they've got to have a need.
I have a need.
They've got to have a need.
I'll work the rest out.
Okay. I will get you back. You've got to somehow start to try, and I know it's really difficult because some of our products do seem like they appeal to everybody, but you've got to somehow try and segment down in some ways. Because if you don't, you are selling to the world. And how are you going to market to the world? So maybe you're Okay, we can argue about this later, but maybe your target audience is Worthing based. No, she says it's not. It's nationwide. Okay? So maybe there is a niche within your target audience. Maybe more, if you look back over your records, maybe more people between the age of 30 and 35 use your services. I don't know. You know, maybe more males do, maybe more females buy, because apparently females buy more than males. So start to try, it's not always going to be perfect, but start to try to hone down a little bit on what your target audience or who your target audience is, and try to start to put them in, you know, are they men? Do they use the gym? Are they ladies? Do they buy lunch? What do they do? Who are they? What age are they? How do they buy is another one. You know, do they buy over the internet? Sorry. I
was going to say, is that all the socio-economic classes?
Yes,
some
of those
A1s
AAs and all that sort of thing, you know.
So
are they...
Is that a good place to start?
Absolutely. It depends what your product is. It's really hard for me to stand here now and say, yes, start there. But it depends what your product is. But yeah, if your product is something that a lady over a certain age, of a certain income, would be more interested in than a young lad who's just left school, then yeah, certainly start looking at your AAs and your A1s and all the rest of it. Yeah. But start somewhere. Try to segment your target audience. Otherwise, you are just selling to the world, and it becomes increasingly hard then to market yourself to the world. When you've sort of started to, so we might sort of say, okay, we're going to target women between the ages of 25 and 35 who have a
dog.
I was going to say high profile jobs actually and a dog. I like to keep me on my toes, don't you? Dog. Okay. So we start with it. I always get one.
Sorry.
There's always one. So we then start to think about, well, how do we target to these people? What are we doing? How do we, if we're going to target towards people who've got dogs, then maybe we need to start looking at dog-friendly magazines. You know, but where are those people hanging out, basically? Where are those ladies hanging out between 25 and 35? Are they hanging out in the gym? Are they hanging out in cafes? What are they doing? Where are they? Are they taking their dogs with them? Are they leaving their dogs at home? Do their dogs need hats or scarves or, you know?
It's a good example.
It's a great example. So then start to think about your targeting and how you're going to get to these people. And obviously you're going to come back to that in your strategy, but start to think about your segments, your targeting, and your positioning is what people think of you in that marketplace. So if you are a dog owner and you are, because I don't have a dog, so this is really difficult. If you're a dog owner and you're reading Dogs Are Us, for example, and somebody's placed an advert, you know, how are you going to appeal to that dog owner? Where are you going to be positioned in that marketplace? Are you going to be perceived as being one of the top dogs? Sorry. Are you going to be perceived as being the top of the bunch, middle range, bottom? You know, where are you going to position yourself? Because again, your brand, your price, the way you promote yourself, your processes, your physical evidence, and all those 7 Ps will come into play. And it's really important. And it's really important that people perceive you to be above your competition, if that's what you need to be. That's, you know, what you've decided, and it's going to be different for everybody, but it's really important to think about your profile and your positioning. So that's STP. And the last bit of the audit, before you all nod off, is your USPs, and we're not going to stick around these for very long. Your unique selling point, your point of difference, or whatever anybody calls it these days, but do try and have one. Do try and think about what makes you unique, especially when you have to do these damn 60 seconds in front of a whole room, which we all hate. Do really try and think about what makes you stand out from the crowd. I'm not going to make you get up and do it. We were talking about this last week, that's why. So, you know, think about your USP as well. What makes you different? And from doing that whole audit, you should start to get an idea of where you are and, you know, where your business is. Am I all right on time?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Absolutely
Feel like I can... Okay. I'll try and rock it through a bit so we don't bore you to tears. Goals. Not too much to say about these, really. Make some. That's it, we can move on. How often have we sat there and we said, oh, you know, I want to do that, and I want to do that, and I want to do this, and I want to do this.
What are they called KPIs?
Oh, key performance indicators. We can call them SMART goals. We can call them smarter goals.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing. Just make some. You know, if you want to write a book, and you want to say, okay, I'm going to write a book. It's my best example. Great, write a book. How are you going to write that book? How long is that book going to be? How many chapters are going to be in that book? Are you going to have pictures in your book? How many chapters are you going to write a week? How many chapters are you going to write a day? How much is that going to cost to write? But make some goals, and we'll go to the SMART analogy because it's the best one. Make them specific. Make them measurable. Make them achievable. Make them realistic, and make them timely. And please be impressed that I remembered all of those. But do think about when you're making your goals. Seriously think about what you can do and when you can do it, and how you can fit it into your working life. Because if you make these rash goals of, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and you don't make time for it, then you're not going to succeed again. So you've got to break them down into little chunks and really think about your goals and your aims and what you want to achieve. Okay, so that's all I'm going to write on that sheet. Goals, make some. Okay. How much paper have we got?
If you like, got another roll over.
Yay! Okay. Finally, we get onto our strategy. So we've gone through our audit. We know where we are. Okay, we've set some goals. What I would urge you to do at this point is go back through your 7 Ps and see if anything's changed, and I bet you it would have done. I could lay money on it. That time you've done your SWOT analysis, your competitor analysis, your research, you thought about your competition, you've done this, you've done everything else that we've spoken about, your 7 Ps would have changed. Not beyond recognition, but you just might have some different things and different goals to work on. Okay, so we start then thinking about our strategy. We start thinking about how we're going to get our message out there. We start talking about our marketing communications mix. They love marketing. People love these great big words. They love to call things. But that's basically your mix of PR, advertising, social media, sales techniques. You know, I can draw you fancy diagrams if you like, but it's just that mix of everything and how it's going to flow together. Okay, so we've got, let's just talk about some ways of promoting ourselves.
Networking.
Yay! Giving talks.
Business cards.
Business cards.
Sponsorship.
Putting on events.
Yeah.
Advertising,
Advertising.
newspapers.
Yeah.
Cold calling.
Ooh, cold calling. Somebody said cold calling. Love that. Nobody does it at the moment, so it's great.
Getting editorial.
Yeah. That's hard.
You said earlier social media.
Yeah, social media. Let's not talk about it.
Does blogging come under that?
Yep.
No, it's different. No, it's different.
Wasn't there some fancy with celebrity endorsements? Excuse me. Straight gin, you know.
Product placement.
Yep.
Ah.
Your website.
Okay.
Telesales.
Newsletters.
Yeah. Sales agents.
Yeah. Sound report.
Who said that? I like you. You can come again.
You don't see them often enough.
You can come again. I like that. I've
Mailing list.
never ever had somebody say sandwich boards.
Sorry.
Mailing list.
Yep.
Getting involved with charities or having a sense of responsibility
Yep.
for partners as well.
Having a shop,
CSR even.
having a shop front.
Yep.
You know, a street frontage shop.
Referrals and recommendations.
Yep. Put the one up here. I'm conscious that I'm going to hit my head on the mic if I go in now. There's a lot out there, isn't there? So how are we going to decide which one we're going to use?
Budget.
We're going to go, that one. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Would some of those be short term and some be more longer term?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll finish with my lovely graph that you've seen before. It really is quite difficult to decide which way to go, and somebody said budget, and obviously that is going to determine a lot of what you can do. Your goals are going to determine what you can do, your time frame, your target audience, etc, etc, etc. You know, if you've decided your target audience is all women who are between 25 and 35 and go to the gym and live in Findon, then you're going to do a leaflet drop without even thinking about it. Or if your target audience, very simply, is young lads, you know, just left school, etc, etc, then Facebook or something like that might be appropriate. So, you know, you're starting to sort of funnel down on what your target audience is and how you approach them. But there is quite a nice way of thinking about things that I quite like to finish on. Let's just take a bit of drawing. But down here, we start off with ignorance. Product ignorance. Ignorance is bliss, they say, don't they? Nobody knows about your product. You've just launched. So what might we do there to help people learn about our product?
Advertise.
Yeah, could advertise. There's not much point doing an email or an e-shot at that point, because you need to cast your net wide. So you need to do some PR and you need to advertise. You need to start to scope in your audience. Okay? So if you're launching a new product, or if you think that people don't know where you are, think about advertising, think about PR, think about the things that get your name out there wider. Yes, that could include social media, but I'd say advertising, PR, pretty good down there. So people are starting to be aware of us. What might we do then? If you've gone out in the world and you've seen an advert for a new pair of shoes, or you've seen an advert for a new DIY company that you like the look of, what are you going to do next?
Go on the net.
Yeah, go on the net. I like you. You can come again as well. There's 2 down for next time. Yeah. That's when our website comes into play, because that's when people are going to start to look at us, they're going to find out about us, and they're going to go onto our website. And if that doesn't stack up, they're going to drop off. Okay? And they really will. So they go on our website, and then they want to build knowledge. So what might be good there?
Testimonials from other people.
Yeah.
Case studies.
Could do. Could do. I'd say that's probably where your email marketing comes in.
Email capture.
Because if they're on our website, then I'm hoping that everybody's got a little sign up to form. So when we got them on our website, we then capture them, and then we feed their interest and we build their knowledge by sending them nice little email newsletters to give them more knowledge. But yeah, I mean, case studies, testimonials, it's all going to be on our website anyway. But yeah, email marketing. You never know. They might even start to like us after that, because we're working quite hard. So what we're going to do there?
Contact.
Contact, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Make friends with them on Facebook.
Make friends with them, absolutely. We're going to use social media, because we're going to make friends with them. We're still going to be doing all of this, because we don't know ever where people are in this cycle. But yeah, we're going to start to make friends with them. And after we've made friends with them, they might even start to prefer us over our competitors. You never know. And it's at that point your physical evidence, back to that, your case studies and your testimonials are going to come into play. Because they like us enough to want to be reassured. They want to prefer us. They want to prefer us over our competitors. So we need to give them the reassurance to prefer us. And we also want to convince them. So they want to have the conviction to buy, which again comes in here. And then and only then, when they've got the knowledge and they like us and they begin to prefer us and they're pretty convinced about us, they might think about buying. Now, obviously, not everybody is going to go in that lovely pattern at the same time. We only wish they would, because then we'd all know what we're doing all the time. But I just find it quite an interesting way of starting to work out what I need to do at what point of my product or my service lifestyle with my target audience. So if you keep that in mind, it might help when you're trying to wade through that lot. But personally, I think the sandwich boards are the best. And on that note, I think that's probably about me done for the evening. Has anybody got any questions?
So if you're an established company,
Yeah.
and do people generally say, I don't know, the sort of clients that come to you say,
Yeah.
do we need a review, or we lost our way a bit, and do you go back to the beginning and then start analysing everything?
Sometimes. I had one of my recent clients literally came up to me and said, I would like to do Twitter. And we had a conversation, and I said, why do you want to do Twitter? Oh, that's because that's what I think I should do. That's because that's what everybody's telling me to do. And we've not gone down the Twitter route at all, because he doesn't need to do Twitter. They need to do completely something else. But yes, I go back to the beginning. I don't always do it thoroughly. It depends on their budget and how much time they want to spend. When you've been in marketing for as long as I am, you tend to sort of jump around a little bit and start to be able to pull it together. But yeah, pretty much I do sit down and I work through things, and I do a lot of research on behalf of my clients to try and find out, because if I can't work out what their target audience is and where they need to go, I'm not going to be successful in what I recommend.
Yeah, it's just because what I'm thinking is, if you're a small...
There. Yes.
And is there maybe sort of...
Shortcuts?
Not shortcuts, but have it more effectively sort of pitched for the size of company you are?
I would say, if you're going to do anything out of all of that, then do your SWOT analysis and think about your competitors.
And then the rest should naturally follow.
And the rest should naturally follow. And set some goals. Because your SWOT will tell you your strengths and weaknesses, and from that you'll be able to define your unique selling points and where opportunities and threats might be. You do need to be on top of your competitors, at least knowing what they're offering, and so you can try to place yourself in the right marketplace. And I do truly believe in setting some goals, and I think we're all truly quite bad at it. But if you do have a few goals to follow, then it hopefully will keep you on the straight and narrow. So yes, SWOT analysis and competitors, out of all of that, if you don't have time to do anything else.
Are there any tools online
that can tell you what?
Not tell you what to help you. Almost like a third-party sort of thing which could help you.
I think there are lots of marketing consultant type people that will give you frameworks. If you go onto the SIMS Institute of Marketing, they've got some really good tools that you can use.
Is that anything to do with Creative Commons?
No, that's the Chartered Institute of Marketing. But they've got some really good framework tools which guide you through pretty much what I've just told you now. Another site I really like is Business Balls. That's really good for sort of short, sharp stuff. And about.com. And again, that's really good for just picking out and plucking out things. I've got some sheets. I've got a SWOT analysis sheet. I've got 7 Ps. I've got all that sort of thing. So if anybody wants any template sheets, let me know.
Do we get that from your website or from you?
From me now, I can... I should give out business cards and things, shouldn't I?
I've always thought about if you go out on the street and you actually, ask people, hey, I've got this great idea, this is happening. What questions do you actually ask them?
Oh gosh.
That's not the right.
Have you got a dog?
That's not the right question. How do you work out what the right questions are to ask them? That's the right question.
How do you work out what right? Yeah. Okay. Well, you would then think about what your product is and what you wanted it to be and what you wanted to sell it at. So, for example, let's go back to our dogs. If you were selling dog coats, I would then say you would have some pictures of dog coats,
Right.
some ideas of price, some ideas of how you might market your dog coats, and simple as that. Just go out and ask and
Just
talk
ask
to
them
people.
what they think, basically.
Yeah, what do you think of that? Would you pay £9 for a dog coat? I don't know. I don't know whether £9 is a good rate or a bad rate. I haven't, but would
Right. Okay.
would
Simple as
somebody
that,
pay
really.
Yeah,
okay.
really as simple as that. And I don't think enough people do actually take time to talk or ask people about
No,
the
you don't
business.
see it often, do you? You see it a lot in London. You always get stopped in the street.
Stopped and yeah. But I think if you want a softer approach, then you could take the networking approach. And I think if you went to any networking organisation and just talk to people in the room about what you're potentially doing and just ask for feedback, it's very difficult because you don't want to give stuff away.
No,
as well.
I also can find that quite false because people tend to say, "Oh, no, that sounds brilliant."
Yeah.
Within a networking environment.
Yeah.
Right? It's actually when you get out on the street and you're.
I think it also depends again whether your target audience is business people or is it's consumers. If it's consumers, then really you've got to talk to some consumers.
And how do you do that through consumer groups? Or?
Well, it depends how much money you want to throw at it. You can organise focus groups. I've done that for clients before, where you literally go through and you ask people to come be part of a focus group, and you sit down and you talk to them about a new product. You see it all the time on The Apprentice. Sitting down and focus.
Is that expensive? Roughly to get something like that.
Again, it depends on what your product is and who you're targeting. But I think if you are targeting consumers, then there's nothing better than asking your family or your friends or. They'll all have an opinion. And I'm not saying that you take it word for word, but it will give you a starting point.
Probably an easier, much more cost-effective way is going on to forums on the internet.
Yeah. It's quite interesting what you can pick up from forums. I've been told. I'm not one for spending a lot of time on them, but you can
Because I
do.
Rather
you can get ripped apart in forums.
Get my information from a forum than going from a company website with their promotional material on.
Yeah, because it's good.
Real user feedback.
Yeah.
It's a bit better than TripAdvisor because you never know exactly what motivation. But that sort of ethos of you're actually communicating with people who are there and then using it in the real world.
Okay. Yeah. I think any way that you're comfortable is good. And whatever suits your product and your service, but do take time to do some research and do talk to people, whether it be over the internet or face to face, because getting your product right to the right target audience is the key at the end of the day. Otherwise, you're never going to sell your dog coats.
The problem I have in my business is that the person who consumes my service is not the person who pays for it. So I'm a drum teacher.
Oh, okay.
So my clients are twofold.
So your clients are children?
And their children.
Okay.
I have to sell the service to parents of the children because they're the ones that are paying for it.
Okay.
So that makes this kind of thing very difficult. And I always come back to the same problem as like when you're talking about segmentation and all the rest of it. It's kind of, all right, so... Are you
marketing the parents or are you marketing the children?
So I do a twofold approach generally, which is try and stimulate a need within the schools.
Yes.
To get the students to go home and then pester their mums and dads to say,
yes, a bit like my children do, yes.
But at the end of the day, they're going to be the ones that are making the final decision. So it kind of is a bit of a fly in the ointment in terms of how that process and how that machinery works.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've got any thoughts. I'm sure that's not the only service in the world.
I can only probably talk from personal experience. My child came home and wanted drum lessons, and they were quite extortionate.
Yeah.
And the first thing I did was got online and had a look at what else there was. Who else was out there. As a parent, you're constantly getting requests for 10 quid here, 20 quid there. So I was online and I was looking at other drum teachers and seeing how that person stacked up.
Yeah.
So it's probably on that scale. I'm sort of thinking it's probably from 2 onwards, isn't it? Like stage 1 might be, hey, the kids think this is great.
Yeah, they're aware of it, and they, and you're building knowledge, and they're liking you. And I think for any parent, if your child, it's really blunt, isn't it? But if your child is happy, the parent is happy.
Yeah.
So if you're really connecting with the children and making it right for them, then the parent's more likely to dig deep, aren't they?
Absolutely. And it's about relationship in the end. But
If you're coming if you're coming through a school, or a school your
You've already
DBS
got
certificate.
you've already got an endorsement as such.
But you've already
Yeah.
got the DBS or it used to be CRB certificate.
Yeah.
And everyone is aware of that. They've got to be current, enhanced, under 3 years
Yeah,
old.
credibility
Yeah.
as well as
So there's the
endorsement.
safety aspect.
Yes.
And these days people know about that. So that's added value that
Yeah.
in school and there's been
Yeah.
some sort of vetting and screening.
Yeah. And things, I mean, you know, I don't know your business well enough, but things like offering half an hour free session or quarter of an hour free session or a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Again, I turned this particular chap down because he wasn't willing to give my son a trial lesson.
Right.
You know, he's never played drums. Why would I commit to £80 for 6 lessons, I think
Yeah.
it was, without him trying,
Okay.
you know?
Can I go on from that then?
Yeah.
Because that's like it's two different marketplaces, isn't
Yes,
it? So
yes.
you've got two different targeting groups, whatever it's
Yes,
called. right?
absolutely.
So if you have a website and you
Mhm.
know that actually two different sorts of people are going to be looking at it, there's going to be the, I don't know, 12-year-old
Yeah.
boys
hmm
and the 35-year-old mums or whatever, I don't know, got my math.
Yep.
Where do you pitch? Do you do the kids look here, parents look here? Or
You could
do you
do.
just go,
You could do, couldn't you?
Right.
You could have a kids interactive friendly page. Depends what age you're targeting, and I think they're getting younger and younger these days, aren't they, online?
Yeah, to start at 8 and go up to
Yeah.
30 something.
Yeah, yeah. You could also, I guess, think about a Facebook page.
Yeah.
You know, again, it depends what sort of.
Teachers advised not to go on Facebook.
Yeah, they do. You're
all the
right.
professional teaching organisations
Yeah.
say stay well clear of it.
Yeah.
So many kids have got into trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
16's legal age.
You can't do that.
13 is legal age.
Yeah, well, it's just because you leave yourself open to abuse.
Mm.
So although
it's like running
many
a public forum, it's like forums, because I'm a developer and companies go, we want to run a forum, and I just cave in with fear when I say the word forum, because they don't take on the aspect of, right, you're going to have a forum, so if you've got 20,000 people in this forum, you've got to monitor everything that's coming in this forum.
Mm.
Do you have the resource? You know,
Yeah,
people
but,
sit there and visually go
the
through
overhead's massive. And if you're a sole trader, then that overhead normally stops you from doing it. So I don't have Facebook specifically.
No,
of-
that's
of
no.
that.
You're quite
And
right.
it's
Yeah.
difficult because I agree with you that it is key in this process. But if you're in some kind of business
Yeah.
whereby that's a problem, it
Yes.
does put the skids under quite a lot of the way that you would normally market. But yeah,
So that's all social media, effectively.
yeah, really. Although I do Twitter, but it's kind of it's fairly locked down, so people can only join privately. So yeah, it's.
I would tend to also then think about if it's a local business where your parents are hanging out, what they're reading, what's coming home in book bags, primary times, raring to
and
go,
getting
all
into
those
school
sort of
newsletters
things.
is a good one for
Getting
that,
into
isn't
school
it?
newsletters, getting
Yeah.
into school, doing a trial, this, that, whatever, you know, building up some referrals that way.
Yeah.
Kids talk to each other, don't they, you know, as well. But I would tend to think about, you know, you're going to get to the children quite easily, but I would think about where your parents are hanging out and what they're reading. And if it's local, there's quite a lot of local kids type parenting magazines that maybe you could look at, editorials, building your profile and getting that reassurance over to parents that actually you're a good guy. Because I think that's one of the biggest things for somebody in your position, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, you're going to be on a one-to-one with somebody's child, they need to know that you're a good guy and that you can be trusted,
Yeah.
like you say. You know, it's really important.
Earlier, what you were saying about the free lesson thing,
Mm-hmm.
something that we do here at co-working, we started off, which we've now changed, is instead of offering free
Mm-hmm.
a bit of time or whatever, actually pay for the initial bit of time, but then you get reimbursed it if you sign up to a course.
Yeah.
Because what we find with the free stuff is that because there was no commitment there,
Right.
it wasn't something that people would actually
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Because it was always there, I'll get back to it later. Whereas
Yes.
if there's a commitment there,
Yes.
it's okay, if you're going to take it seriously, then do it.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to do it seriously, you know, you've had your time and everyone's come out of it.
Yes. I think offering free anything is a minefield. It really is. You know, there's people who do very well by offering free stuff, there's people who don't, and it's really down to your industry, isn't it, and what you want to give. I've given up, apart from talks like this, I've given up doing anything for free because, because I've found from personal experience that people abuse that and you just end up spending a lot of your valuable time helping people and then they say thank you very much and off they go. So I think be very careful if you're going to do anything for free. That would be my personal advice.
They don't value your time if you give it.
I don't think they do. No, they don't.
Well, that's
They don't.
exactly-
Yeah.
They don't value it.
doing that.
No, they don't value it
I bet
at
you
all.
can give a free taster of what you do.
I think it depends what you're. Yeah.
Taster.
Yeah.
We offer free Friday every month.
Yes.
So there is that aspect. There's one
Yeah.
thing rather than two things.
Yeah.
You know, you get one day a month. Everybody is in the same boat. So there is that.
Don't get me wrong. I'll go and sit down with a client for an hour and talk about their marketing, and I won't charge for that. But past that, I will charge.
Yeah.
Because I think we can all only give so much. Otherwise, we're running small businesses. We're not running great big companies. You've got to think about your time as well.
So where would that free element come into the strategy? Would that be?
Come into here. Difficult one, isn't it? Yeah.
Physical evidence?
No.
What?
I would actually sit it somewhere between here, because it's going to it's going to change somebody from just liking you to preferring you, to actually convince. I'd say it's quite high up. If they're serious, then I'd say it's quite high up. I don't think you'd want to give away too much free down here, because this is too much of a wide audience. I think you'd be wanting to look at people that are actually preferring you, liking you, and actually making some engagement with you before you gave away too much.
What I do is just before, because I don't like to give really free time, so just before they're in the face-to-face meeting,
Mhm.
just before when you think, you want them to really do something. So what I do free is I give them one good, creative, innovative idea. And
Yes.
see their eye, oh,
Yes.
so that bit, oh.
What's your thought on discounts?
Hmm.
Introductory offers. Because again, it's what you were saying earlier. It's like if you offer an introductory discount, then people sort of think, I paid that much money. Why
Are
am I
you
paying
ever going to
twice
be
as
able to?
much
Yeah.
rent?
Are you ever going to be able to get up to what you should? Is it not better to add value than discount?
Yeah.
Or discount to buying in bulk, which is what.
Yeah,
I
discount by buying in bulk, or discount over commitment, or if you
over
sign
the
up
time
with
of
me
the
for
deal.
6 months, I will discount.
Or how quickly they're going to pay you.
Yeah,
So
that's another good one.
Early settlement discount.
Yeah.
But it's all to do with like the mindset that we're trying
Mm.
to instill in people.
I think you have to be
It's all
really
work.
careful that you don't devalue yourself by giving free and giving discounts. Really careful that you don't devalue your product or your service. We all like a bargain, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we stay with that person once we've had our bargain. We're more likely to walk away from them, I think. Because you don't. You just think, oh, well, that's that, and I'll trot off quite happily. I've had my bit of free stuff. Thank you very much. And I think you're right in your process of thinking with giving people incentives a little bit free later on. I like that idea, rather than giving them something free to start with. Yeah.
But that's part of goodwill then, isn't it?
Yeah. And also, we all talk. People talk constantly, and you don't want to be that, oh, go and see Sheryl because she'll give you a bit of free marketing advice. I don't want to be known as that person. None of us want to be known as that person, or, oh yeah, you'll get a good discount there, because it immediately devalues what you're offering. And how are you ever going to get that price up again? That then leads on to negotiation and everything like that, doesn't it? But if you're going to discount, what are you going to take off? I don't. But if you're selling something at £40 and somebody wants you to sell it at £30, well, yes, you can have it at £30, but I'll take off that 2 hours that I was going to do of whatever. You've got to, otherwise you're just devaluing yourself all the time.
I suppose it all comes back to the whole marketing strategy.
It does.
The value of what you're
It does.
selling.
It comes back to the value and that you're meeting your target audience's needs. And if you get it right, then price shouldn't be too much of an issue, because they'll be seeing that value. They'll be wanting to buy from you for all of the other reasons that we've discussed. Price shouldn't really come into it too much. Some people just like a bit of negotiation at the end of the day, but it shouldn't really come into it too much.
Any more questions?
No.
Thank you very much, Sheryl. Really short.